The Battlefield 6 beta broke some records, more than 521,000 players on Steam, and this isn't even counting Xbox, PlayStation or EA Play, and it beats the Call of Duty maximum peak in 2022. And this is just talking about the demand for the game, but I think mostly has to do with the massive campaign that they did to advertise this game. From the events, from all the ads, for all the activity on social media, and mostly I think from the streaming community, because they did fly out loads of people into LA, into other places on the world to stream this game and create a massive amount of noise. I managed to get myself an early access code to the beta and I played the game religiously day and night. I slept very little and I have some positive thoughts, some negative thoughts that I want to share with you guys, so you know what to expect when the game comes out in the 10th of October. Okay, first of all, let's go to the positives. In terms of the graphics, right here Dresla is asking about the quality of the video, and you can judge for yourself in these no HUD clips. I was playing in the Xbox Series X at 4K 60 and the game looked amazing. It is the same Frostbite engine of the Battlefield 2042, but now we have loads of volumetric effects. There's always dust particles flying around. You had volumetric smoke, volumetric clouds and mist that adds to the dramatic effect. And the lighting of every single one of the levels was just top notch. We had loads of variation. For example, we had Liberation Peak, Tajikistan, with a very cool vibe. There's loads of blue saturated in the shadows. Then we had Cairo with very harsh lighting. And then we had Gibraltar that was a lot more flat because it was a misty day, but everything looked very nice, very beautiful, and most importantly, it performed very well. Now, talking about the Frostbite engine, the devs did say that they're not going to change into anything like Unreal because Frostbite allows them to create all the destruction in the particle effects. And the destruction is another point that they made a lot of emphasis in the presentation, and in my eyes, it works very well. Some buildings you can basically raise them to the ground, others you can bring down the facades and maybe some of the floors, but it worked very well. The particle effects were incredible and you can bring those elements down on top of the enemy, and that's just another strategy that you can include into your gameplay. Now, another thing that I really liked was the skins. The skins for the weapons, for the vehicles, and also for the soldiers. Why? Because they're very grounded. We could only play either as NATO or Pax Armata, and both of the armies had very grounded skins. We didn't have any crazy fluorescent colors, any purples, any devil ears shining in the top of the head of the soldiers. Now, if this is maintained throughout the history of Battlefield 6, I'll be very happy, but I'm quite skeptical because we've already seen some of the rewards that we're going to get for playing the beta, and we're starting to see some of the colors, some of the rainbow colors creeping in slowly, very subtle, into the guns, into the soldiers, and let's see if they can maintain it because this is the modern age, and I'm sure that some people are interested in bunny ears or golden skins for the weapons, all those things. So let's see if that stays put. But for the moment in the beta, it looked very nice. It looked very immersive. You did feel that you were in a conflict zone. Now, more positives in terms of gameplay. I really like the movement of the soldiers and the vehicles in general. The soldiers felt a bit heavier, a bit more grounded compared to Battlefield 2042, and in particular compared to Call of Duty. Right here, if you have someone sneaking from behind, you can't beat them to the turn and kill them before they fire. There's a bit of weight when you turn, depending on the class that you're using. And also another thing that's very evident is that they're trying to return to the movement of Battlefield 5 and 4. For example, yes, you can slide, but you cannot slide while shooting. If you try shooting when you're sliding, the animation is going to cut out. So they're trying to eliminate movement that breaks the immersion. So there's nothing less immersive or more infuriating, I would say, than a Halo or Call of Duty player that's sliding, jumping around, and they kill you and you couldn't even get a shot on them. So they're trying to eliminate that, and the soldiers feel a lot more real, a lot more heavy and grounded. Not too heavy, nothing like Gears of War, for example, but they are a little bit less responsive. Another aspect that they really aced is the weapon customization. Now you have a point system, and every add-on that you add into your weapon costs a certain amount of points. So this is created so the player is limited in some sense, but it also avoids the player having the ability to equip the best add-ons to the best gun and basically have an all-arounder. You have to make some compromises here and there depending on your playstyle, and this brings loads of potential for a weapon to perform differently. Now, another great positive is that the game looks basically finished. Now, I know that we are 2 months away from the release date, so the product is almost done, and it is a beta. We did encounter a couple of bugs, but nothing that is game breaking. I will talk about the heavier bugs in the negative section. In the positives, there were some funny things. For example, the tank sometimes did some strange movements. Then when you killed someone, maybe they would fly off. but nothing too crazy. Finally, one of the positives is that although this is a beta and we only had 3 maps, the 3 maps were very polished in terms of detail. The detail in the interiors of Gibraltar and Cairo were fantastic, the destruction was incredible, the background, the skybox. I loved everything about the 3 maps in a different sense. And yeah, I think they did quite a good job over here, and we'll see what else they can achieve when we see the new maps. Okay, now to the negatives. Now, first of all, the map rotation. This was a pain because I wanted to record every single one of the maps, but when I found a game, let's say in Gibraltar, my next game was also Gibraltar. My next game of that one was Gibraltar. Even 5 times in a row, I got the same map. I had to quit the game completely because if you wanted to go to the main screen, it would freeze and then try to find another game. So this is something that not only I was experiencing, a lot of creators found it and it was quite annoying. Let's see if for the 14th to 17th, which is the next beta access, we're gonna see this fixed because, well, we're adding another map into all the modes, which is the Empire State in the New York. So they're going to add also to Conquest. So maybe right there, the rotation is going to be fixed. Another negative that's been going around on social media is that some of the weapons have little to no recoil. They require no recoil control. And some people like Jack Frags are complaining about it. I'm not complaining too much because I'm not that good of a shot. And also weapons like the small SMGs, for example, the big LMGs, they in real life they have very little recoil and they're very easy to control. So in that sense, I think that the devs were trying to be a bit more grounded in their approach to weapon recoil, but I do see the problem when it comes to people who want to be a lot more competitive, and maybe the best players, if they manage to find a recoilless weapon, they can basically slaughter and dominate every single match. So something that they'll probably adjust just in terms of gameplay and balancing. Another complaint that I'm seeing a lot is the glint of the snipers. And yeah, if you're playing in Tajikistan or Liberation Peak, sometimes you looked over the mountain and it was like a Christmas tree. The glints are way too big. I know that the glints is a gameplay mechanic because in real life, when you see a sniper glint, it's very small and it's very rare. The light has to hit the glass in a very specific angle. Yeah, so they do this so the sniper isn't completely invisible and just sniping people from afar. But again, they need to make them a bit smaller. Maybe return to the size of Battlefield 1, which were big enough so we can notice them, but they weren't too distracting. They're very big in this game, they're very shiny, and they're just in your face all the time. Now, to some of the bugs that did make me a bit angry, one of them was getting hit or killed behind cover. Now, this has to do maybe with the geometry of the terrain, but sometimes I was killed when I was clearly behind a rock or something like that. Other situations, I had the shotgun not doing the damage even though I blasted the guy 3 times in the chest and I didn't get a single hit marker. And in this video you can see some snipers that found a glitch in the geometry of the map and exploited it completely, just enraging all the battlefield. I hope these things, they can fix them quickly because yeah, they were quite annoying. Now to a more serious issue, Battlefield is using the Javelin system to block any potential hackers or cheaters, and they said that they blocked more than 300,000 cheaters and hackers in this beta. Now some did get through, for example this streamer, luckily he's been cancelled. You can see right here how he has aimbot. He can basically aim at anyone, he can shoot at anyone very quickly, even people behind the rock, he's already shooting at them. So clearly this one is a cheater. So I don't really get the point of these guys. It's a beta first of all, and then why are you cheating in a game? The point of the game is to have fun. Cheating, well, it takes away all the merit to playing. So luckily they are catching these cheaters and hopefully they get banned because they take away the fun for everyone else. Now finally, this isn't much something negative, but is some constructive criticism to the devs because we did have 2 options in the main menu. For example, for Conquest, we had rigid classes, which is the original version of Battlefield where, let's say, the Recon has access to the snipers only, then the Engineer has the SMGs, Medic has the LMGs, and the Assault has access to the Carabines and the Assaults. So every single class has their specific weapon type. And then we had the open version. Now this is creating a bit of dialogue in social media because long loyal fans of Battlefield franchise really like the class system, the rigid class system, because every single one in your squad has a job to do. So the Engineer can take out vehicles but also can repair them. Then the Medic, well, he just cures your teammates. And then the Snipers have a specific role, and also the Assault. But when you have open access to all the weapons, you can get things like an Engineer just climbing a hill with a sniper, taking out all the infantry, and then when a vehicle comes along, he takes them out as well with the 10 rockets that they gave them. So also what can happen is a medic grabbing the sniper rifle or a long weapon and just going up into the hill and just healing himself in a very egotistical manner, and he's not helping out his teammate and he's not helping out progressing the mission into winning. All of these players, what they're trying to do is just get the kills, get stats, and be on top of the charts. So this is a bit of the criticism coming out from the OG Battlefield fans on social media. What they're asking DICE, EA, or Criterion to do is to pick a lane. Either we go with the lock system or we go with the open system. Just pick one so we don't divide the community, and this plays with the longevity of the game. You can think of another game from DICE, Star Wars Battlefront 1. They also divided the community in a different manner. In this case, they created loads of DLCs with great maps, but they hid them behind a paywall. Now, if you want to go and play Battlefront 1, because a lot of people still play it, you can't find anyone on the DLCs. Why? Because most of the people play the open maps. So in this way, they're kind of dividing the community for the future. So what the people are trying to say is just pick a lane, so in the future we don't have a divided community and we can find games. So right now they haven't picked a lane, we can play either of them, but in the future, maybe if you want to find a game in the locked class system, you're not going to find sufficient players and you will be forced to play the open weapons version. So that's a bit of the dialogue that's going on social media about the topic. So there you have it, lads, my positives and negatives on playing Battlefield 6 beta. Now, of course, there are some logical things that are going to be added, like new weapons, new maps, new vehicles, new abilities, all those things. Hope to see them in October the 10th. But for the time being, I'm Tony Fuentes, and I'll catch you legends in the next one.